Hi guys, this is Guest75 again, and welcome back here today with a new video for you guys. I'm gonna take a look and unbox uh, the new Xperia XZ1-compact. So this is a very interesting phone, and I believe it could potentially be the fastest phone, Android or iOS, that you can get on the market currently. So let's dive in and take a look. So this is the box of the XZ1 Compact. Looks pretty familiar. Typical Sony box, really. Actually looks kind of nice. We just open it, and you see that we're presented with the phone up top. Pull it to the side. And we have this layer of cardboards over here. So in here we have the charger. We also have the headphones. I think they are in ear. Yep. With the size tips on the top. And in here in this compartment we still have the USB cable, which is actually USB Type-C. You can see it right here. Yeah. And along with the promotional paperwork and everything like that. Let's check out the device. So we've got this paper we can remove from here. So if you look on the side, we have some flaps over here, where you put your SIM card and micro SD card. So that's pretty nice that you can just manually move that. On the front of the device we have a 4.67 inch IPS triluminous display from Sony, 8 megapixel wide aperture lens, 2 stereo speakers on the top and on the bottom, proximity sensor. On the right we have the volume toggle, the power on and off button, which also doubles as a fingerprint reader, and the 2-stage camera button, as you will know from other Sony handsets. Then on the back we have a very nice 19 megapixel camera, the exact same one that we have on the XZ Premium and the regular XZ1, which is a 19 megapixel f2.0 by the top of my head, with a capability of 960 frames per second slow motion on 720p. We've got laser, autofocus detection, and also a flash. I don't know if it's dual tone. Looks like a regular flash. So let's move this as well. And then on the bottom, we've got USB Type-C and a microphone. And if we go to the top, we have the 3.5mm headphone jack, which is still present, and also another microphone. So some further specifications include on the exterior. So the device is about 9.3 millimeters thick. So that's not the thinnest device. It is relatively small though. I can actually compare it with the iPhone 6, which is a relatively small phone by today's standard. And it's actually a little bit shorter. Of course, as I mentioned, it is somewhat thicker. Not by a huge margin, but you'll still feel it. The device is also IP68 water and dust resistant, so that's also pretty nice. Something that was excluded from the previous model, the X Compact. So let's talk about the internals of the device. The device has 4 GB of RAM, 32 GB of storage, and is powered by a Qualcomm 835 processing unit. So that's a very powerful processor, the fastest you can get from Qualcomm. Of course, it powers a 720p screen, and that is why I believe it might be the fastest phone you can get right now. Also, as mentioned before, we have a fingerprint scanner on the phone, which works quite nice and functions quite well. We talk about the software. This is the first phone, without counting in the pixels, to be released with Android 8.0 Oreo. So that's also pretty nice that it has that privilege of being the first one to have that. Let's see if we can just check that out. Yeah, so Android version 8.0.0, very nice security patch from August as well. So that is very nice that I included that in this device. And of course this phone comes with relatively familiar Sony UX skin, so that's almost a stock-like Android skin with some amount of customization, so you can install themes. One of the nicest things I think you can do is accommodate the grid size, which you find nicer. And speaking of themes, I've done a couple of videos on these already, but I think it's really something that's very nice integrated at Sony phones, because it changed the icon appearance and everything. That's just really nice and makes your phone a lot more, how do you call it, versatile and very easy to customize. Another specific Sony thing that I found missing, unfortunately, is the double tap to wake function, which is one of my most favorite features on Sony's iteration of Android, and that is just not present in the new software on the XZ1-compact. That's just unfortunate, because that is one of the easiest ways to wake up your phone. So right here, you can see double tap to sleep, and well, there's not really any toggles or anything to do that. So I think that might get fixed with an update, maybe because Android Oreo doesn't allow it yet, but it is unfortunate to see that missing at this time. So on first impressions, the fluidity of the UI is incredible, unlike anything I've ever experienced in Android. It's just so fast and fluid. Apps take a very short amount of time to download. Big apps like games start up instantly and are very fast. So it's the first time I started this one up. And like I said, it's always a bonus to have these nice dual firing speakers. Let's see. So it still needs to download some data, and you can hear that the sound is pretty nice, very immersive, and that's just incredible.
Do you think I've been living under a rock? Every world leader's here for the emergency.
So it's downloading, and you can see how fast it's doing that. It has, of course, LTE with all the bands. I think it goes up to about 800 megabits, which is quite fast. So that's very nice that this phone has all of that. So just for a quick demo in a game, I've installed Grand Theft Auto on this device. And you can see the scenes and everything look pretty nice on the device. And let's just skip that. So as you can see, everything looks pretty nice, relatively good looking and very smooth. So like I said, the phone is incredibly quick with launching apps. So let's do that again for a minute. Which is natural, of course, because this is a Snapdragon 835 that we're running on here. One of the things I also found interesting to maybe have a look at is the screen of this device. So naturally, the screen is outfitted with Sony's Triluminosity display and also X-Reality Mobile processing. So that makes images like these look very nice and crisp. So it's a 720p display. So it should be pretty comparable to something like on the iPhone. So if you compare the screen quality of the two phones, it's pretty comparable, and you can see that they have the similar color gamut and also contrast levels and sharpness. So we zoom in here on the iPhone. You can see it's all relatively sharp, not the sharpest we've ever seen. There's not full-on detail on the image, but still enough to see. So it's a bit the same. on the screen of 720p screen of the XZ Compact. Very similar. So this is also a nice picture, and this actually demonstrates that for an IPS display, the XZ1-compact has a pretty high contrast ratio. As you can see, the blacks and everything are very nicely done, and that's pretty impressive. So for the purposes of this video, I also brought along the C5 Premium, which of course is a very well-known phone because of its 4K display. And if you compare the two, you can see that there's a little like a layer of extra detail because of the higher resolution. So you can make out the flowers individually a lot more, and you just see that everything has a bigger total amount of detail. So you can definitely see it, but a 4K screen is like a very big kind of comparison. So only with the likes of these would you actually see a very concrete evidence that the XZ1-compact indeed has a screen of lower image quality. Another interesting screen technology that of course has been buzzing around these days, especially with the new iPhones and everything, is AMOLED displays. So right here I have a Moto X from a few years back, which is outfitted with such an AMOLED display. This one is of a 1080p resolution, but when compared, you see that the image on the XZ1 compact, even though it's not AMOLED, holds up pretty well. Of course, you see some more contrast ratios, although this tends to be a little bit warm and oversaturated. And the image on the XZ1 compact, like it would on an iPhone, looks a lot more realistic when compared. So one of the other cool distinguishing features of this phone are its stereo speakers. We could give these guys a test for a little bit and compare them with other devices. So I've got Spotify launched on here. So you can hear the XZ1 compact is extremely loud. Full blast is just incredibly loud. Not quite as loud on the C5 Premium, which is interesting because it's a much louder device. See how it does on the iOS device. A lot wider range and slightly louder on this side. Now let's try another, I guess this out over here. So also a lot softer on the Xperia X. So audio capabilities of this phone are pretty good. So yeah, this was an elaborate first look at the Xperia XZ1-compact, what I believe to be one of the fastest phones in terms of downloading operation to the menus is just incredible. I've never experienced something like this on an Android phone. So quick and also so seamless. No stuttering or lagging or anything like that. Partly, of course, because of Sony's skins and optimizations. But I think the main reason is the relatively low resolution, which is not needed for such a small screen, coupled with the most powerful processor you can get in an Android phone today, the 835 from Qualcomm. So I think that would benefit anybody who's looking for a very fast phone. And of course, it's a compact phone, but it's not like it's mini, like an iPhone SE, for example. It's comparable to your standard size iPhone 6, 7, or 8, but just a little bit thicker. But in this case, always featured with IP68 waterproofing, where the iPhone 7 and iPhone 8 are still stuck on IP67 waterproofing. So yeah, this has been my first in-depth impressions video of this phone. I tried to make it a little bit more elaborate because I always find that some of these devices are being brushed over very fast and not really placed in context. So the correct context is to compare it, of course, with something like the iPhone, which is an alternative in this size and category. And it's also nice to see how it stacks up against phones which perform better in certain departments. So in this case, this one has a very nice 4K screen. But as you can see, it's not a worldly difference. The difference is there, but it's not gonna obstruct anything you do daily with the phone. So also, I would like to ask my viewers, what did you think of this video? Please leave it down in the comments below. Also, let me know for the full review. Or for example, I'll be tackling the camera capabilities because it does have some very nice capabilities in the camera. Yeah, I'll be testing that thoroughly, what it can do and how fast it is. Because if we just try the camera here, it's pretty responsive. But yeah, of course, that will need some further testing. Also, battery life would be pretty interesting to see how it stacks up. Because according to GSM Arena, it has one of the top 10 battery endurances of all devices they've tested. And I've been filming now for about, I think, in actuality, almost an hour with launching games, downloading stuff on the background. And it's only so far costed me about 10%. And I've been really active with this device. So yeah, guys, this has been it for me for this video. Next video where I do a full review of this device should be up shortly. And I might post some other stuff in between. So yeah, I'll see you guys in my next video. And be sure to keep it locked on Mobile Info Tech, and I'll see you guys next time.